In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to draw the recently canonized Saint Pier Giorgio Frassati. We celebrate his feast day on July 4th, and for this project, all you need is a piece of paper, a pencil, and something to color with. So just a reminder, you can pause the video at any time, fast forward, rewind, use the chapters, and your drawing doesn't have to look exactly like mine. The point is to have fun, connect to God, and to practice. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to be working on Saint Pier Giorgio Frassati's head. So I'm going to start off with kind of like an oval shape. He has like a really strong chin in the photos that I've seen of him. So I kind of am going to square off the bottom of my oval to kind of match that look for his face. So I'm going to start off kind of, an oval shape, but instead of being like round and curved at the bottom, I'm going to have it be just a little bit more squared off. So next we're going to be working on the collar of his shirt. So underneath his chin, you're going to put one line on the left side and one little line on the right side. And we're going to do a V underneath to create that opening of his shirt. So I'm going to draw a line that comes down and in, and down and in on the opposite side, creating that V shape that is the opening of the top of his shirt. Next, we're going to be putting in some downward diagonal lines for his shoulders. So starting where his neck connects to the bottom of his face, I'm going to do a little downwards line like this on the left side, and a little downwards line on the right side to match. We're going to put in some lines for the sides of his torso. So we're going to do a shorter line over here on this left side, kind of comes down and in just a little bit. But this one on the right side is going to be just a little bit longer. And this is just going to be kind of like a guideline for now. We might need to add more or less to these lines a little bit later, but it at least gives us an idea of where his torso is going to go soon. We're going to be working on his sleeves, so we're going to do kind of like a curved line to create where his elbow is bending and create that upper and lower part of his sleeves. So starting at his shoulder line, I'm going to do a line that comes down, and then it's going to start to curve in. Kind of like a parenthesis. Almost reminds me of a boomerang, this line, just kind of how it curves like that. And we're going to do a similar line on the opposite side. So starting at the shoulder line, you're going to do a curve that comes out and then comes in like this. We're going to do these top parts of his sleeve. So again, kind of like a curve. So over here on this left side, I'm going to do a curve kind of about the middle. That's going to come over and down like this. And I'm going to do one kind of about the middle here that comes over and down like that. Now, depending on where your torso lines were earlier, you might need to extend the line of the torso to connect it to your sleeve, or you might need to erase a little bit of that line. I'm going to add one more little line here to create a little opening, kind of like where his sleeve is, but that kind of gives us a good start for where we want his arms and the sleeve of his shirt to go. Again, you can kind of make adjustments to the poofiness of the sleeves, to the bend, however you need to. So in the photo that I used as a reference for this drawing, he's holding kind of like this I guess it's like a pickaxe that he used for like climbing. So we're gonna start off with a big curve to create the top part. And it's gonna be kind of like a frown or rainbow line. So kind of like in between around where the opening of the sleeves are going to be, you're going to do a curve that comes up and around like this. And if you still have like a little bit of space, you can kind of connect those sleeves to that top part of that pickaxe shape a little bit, like this. We're gonna do another line for that bottom part here. So we want the ends to be pointy, but we want it to be a little bit wider in that center spot. So pointy at the ends, a little bit thicker in the middle. So we're gonna put his hands in. So his hands are kind of like gripping like around it. So we only see like a little bit of his fingers. So what you're gonna do is where your sleeve opening is and where it's touching that pickaxe handle, you're going to put a line kind of like on each side for where you want his hands holding on to that pickaxe shape. And if you feel like it's a little skinny, you can kind of add like a little bit of like a curve for the top part of his hand like this. And then you can erase that little bit of pickaxe that's kind of peeking out. So we want to add some finger lines to this to make it look like his hands are wrapped around. So you're going to put 3 lines in. So you can put 1 in the middle and then 1 on either side. And that's going to look like those 4 little bits of knuckle that we can kind of see wrapped around it. You can add a little bit of a thumb peeking out if you want, but I'm just keeping it simple for now, and that gives us the general idea. Before we finish up that little pickaxe shape, I'm going to finish up his shirt. So I'm going to draw a line from this top part of the V down until I hit that top part. To finish up this pickaxe, we have the stick, that big long handle that's kind of coming down and towards the right. So here's the middle of mine. I'm going to do a line that comes down at an angle over towards this right side of my paper. And I'll just stop it for however long I want it to be. And I'm going to do another line that matches on the opposite side, kind of like this. And down at the bottom, I'm going to connect it with a little curve, kind of like a smile. So we're going to do kind of like a big curve. Think kind of like the letter U for this first part of his pants. So right about here, I'm going to start a line that comes down and slightly over towards the left of my paper. And then I'm going to curve that line over towards that stick handle and then come up like this. So it's kind of like a big U. We can do this U for this other pant leg. So you can have it kind of come down. And I'm gonna have it be a little bit longer. It's kind of like a optical illusion. So this one's gonna be slightly longer over on this right side because that leg is straight. The leg on this left side of my paper, it's bent, so it's a little higher up. I'm gonna stop at this stick and kind of continue it on the other side and bring it up like so. So a little U and then a big U. We're gonna finish up with this leg. And so what you're gonna do is on the bottom part of that U shape that we just drew, you're going to draw a diagonal line that comes down for that left side of the leg. And we're gonna do another line coming down on that opposite side, but a little bit longer. And you'll make that line for as long as you want the bottom of his boot to go. To finish up that boot shape, there is gonna be like a curved line, think kind of like a frown or like a rainbow line for that curved part of the toe. So you're going to start and go up to create that top curve of the boot like this. And then you're going to bring it down and connect it to that other line. To finish up that leg, the top part of the boot, about halfway up, we're going to do a curved line like this. That'll be the top of the boot. And then for the top of the sock, underneath this U of the pants, you're going to do a curved line like this, and then add some straight up and down lines for the top of the sock. Before we do this back leg, we're going to put in our little mountain top. So it's kind of like a triangle, but instead of having like perfectly straight, smooth edges, it's a little bit bumpier. So you can put in your mountain top. So think triangle, but a little bit bumpier. And mountains come in all shapes and sizes, so it's okay if yours looks a little bit different than mine. And whenever I run into something like a leg or a stick, I just stop my line and continue it on the other side. To finish up this leg down here, we're gonna start kind of at the bottom of our pant leg, and we're gonna draw one line coming down for the left side of that leg and one coming down for the right side. Now, depending on where your stick is, you might need to put it in a different spot. So I'm going to put mine here, since my drawing's just a little bit different than this one. We're going to put in a little curve, kind of like a smile, for the top part of the sock. And then you're going to add some straight up and down lines, like so. We're going to put in some ears. So right about the middle of our oval shape, you're going to put a curve over on the left side and a curve over on the right side. For the top of his hair, where his forehead is, I'm gonna put like a V, like this, for the top of his hairline. And then starting by his ear, I'm gonna do a little curve that comes up and connects to that V shape. But that V kind of sticks out a little bit on each side, like so. For the rest of his hair, I'm gonna put a little diagonal line on each side of his head near his ears, like this. And I'm going to do a curved line, kind of like a frown, connecting those together, like so. And that little bit of oval that was our guideline from earlier, I'm going to just erase those little bits on the edge. Next, we are going to be working on his face. I did a really simple face for mine, but you can change it up for your drawing. So I'm going to do two little circle eyes right about where the middle of my oval is. So I'm going to put one over towards the left side and one over towards the right side. In between his eyes and the bottom of the chin, I'm going to do kind of like a V for the bottom edge of his nose. And then I'm going to put a little line kind of on that right side of the nose up to where his eyes are, just to kind of hint at the bridge of his nose. In between the bottom of his nose and the bottom of his chin, I'm going to do a simple, shallow smile, like this. And in the picture, he had a little pipe sticking out, so I'll show you how to do that next. For that pipe on this right edge of my smile line, I'm gonna do a line that comes out past the edge of his head. And we're gonna do another one, keeping it skinny at the mouth and kind of wider as it goes away. So kind of like this. And the last thing we're gonna do for that pipe is we're gonna do like a U for the curved part. So you're gonna put a little U curve like this, and then put a line at the top. Last but not least, he needs some eyebrows. So I'm gonna do just like a little simple line over each eye. And unless there's anything else that you want to add or change with your drawing, the only thing left to do is color it. When I color, I love to use markers because that's what turns out well on camera, and I like to outline my pencil first with pens like these. You, of course, can use your favorite art supplies to color your Saint Pier Giorgio Frassatis, and I'll see you after a little bit of music. I would love to see how your drawings turned out. Feel free to tag me on social media and I'll post links in the description if you'd like to support my channel. I want to remind you that you are loved. God loves you very much and he loves your artwork very much. Thank you so much for following along, and I'll see you in the next video.